Okay, I am ready to stream for the day. So today I've got basically one thing in mind. I want to work on SVG-CLJ, and I want to address feedback from Greencoder. They sent me a bunch of DMs on Twitter with some feedback, so I'm going to put that in a little note in the SVG org file and start poking around seeing what I can improve. So let's have a look here. So SVG-CLJ. Let's get the REPL spun up and see what we can come up with for the day. Alright, here we go. Ooh. So once that pops up, I'll basically summarize the feedback I got and see what I can do about incorporating good changes. Right, so let's just put a little here we go. Greencoder sent several Twitter DMs. Feedback. So here we go. I'll just summarize these so that they're in the doc and I can go from there. Oh, I should show my face probably. There we go. All right. Hey Mike, hope you're doing well today. I am doing well myself. I moved my desk to another wall in the room, so it feels just a little bit better, and I'm ready to tackle soon a few little projects to kind of make the space a little bit nicer to use. I have ideas for putting art and whatnot on the walls, which should be kind of fun. So I'm feeling good setup wise, at least as a start. It is another beautiful day today, and it was a very beautiful weekend, so overall I'm in a really good mood. I hope you're well. Doing all right. Rainy here is a slight bummer. The wife's plants could use the water, so it's helpful. What kind of stuff is your wife growing? Like vegetables or like decorative flowers, or a mix of both? Rain is almost always good for the garden, but sometimes not what you want to see. Makes it harder to go on runs and bike rides and such. Alright, let's see here. Just as a heads up here, I got some feedback from viewer Greencoder. They sent me some messages on through Twitter DMs, and so I'm just writing down the feedback they gave me, and I'm gonna see what bits of it make sense to change, what bits I'm just gonna kind of see if I can work that into the library a little bit. So that's my work for the day, and I'm just gonna plug away at it. Yeah, you've got tomatoes, herbs, strawberries, and some bushes and flowering plants like azaleas. Nice. Sounds like a good mix. I don't do too much gardening myself, but my roommates are doing we've got a tiny little square at the front of the house that we can use, and they're doing like kale, spinach. They've got tomatoes and some planters, and I think some like basil or something like that. So they're doing well. Hi Greencoder, how are you today? I hope you're well. You might notice you're currently the subject of what I'm about to write out here. I am taking your Twitter DMs with your feedback and summarizing them here, and then I'm going to think through how I might incorporate some of those changes into the code base, if they make sense. So that's what I'm up to right now. Two things at the same time. Map plus translate. Not good for composability. Doesn't behave the same way as map does. Right, so with translate, the elements are inlined, while with map, they are not. Let's see if I can make sense of that in a minute. Translate and keep spec in the function body, but spec has slow runtime, so make it optional or replace somehow. That makes sense to me. This polygon one has a rewrite. Refer all is deprecated. Oh, refer all, that's, yeah. Refer all, I'm not too worried about that one, which is a nice, easy change. So I'll have a few things to say about some of this feedback myself, but that's okay. Let's see here. Clojure. Rewrite polygon. Defen polygon. Points can be rewritten. Points, apply string, interpose, map, utils, v to s, points. If I remember well, specs remain so that they can be turned on and off on the fly. Yeah, I think you're right about that. If you give me 1 second. Oh, I thought I must have turned off par infer, unfortunately. But let me see why. Oh, yes, okay. Actually, so this here, I'm rewriting the wrong thing, but that's okay. So what you, sorry, I was just reading through your suggestion here related to rewriting polygon, and the suggestion you basically gave is replace this apply string with a much simpler thing, which is the function string/join, which I will just completely admit I did not know this existed when I first wrote this. So that's actually a really good point. I'm sure there are other spots where I can replace that, so that's really nice. So let me just finish this note for a minute. Polygon, points, polygon, oops, yeah, points string/join, map v. It doesn't need to be map v. Oh wait, maybe it does. Does it? I'll figure that out. That's okay. Util/v to s of points. Yeah, so that's use string join instead of the interpose pattern where possible. Hiccup/HTML is deprecated. Use hiccup2's HTML. Let's see here. Use hiccup2. Is that... Is hiccup2 out of alpha or whatever? Let's see here. So, sorry, the hiccup feedback you've got here, if I just follow Weave Jester's README here, it points to 1.0.5, and then has HTML from hiccup.core. So I'm just trying to see what's up here. Hiccup core. Oh, I do? I haven't looked at that specifically yet, so that could very well just be my own oh, it is right there. Wait, so in that case, oh, I might have just made a mistake then. Oh, I see. So I should instead do something along the lines of... Now, where did I use it again? Say here, for example. This should be something like this, I would imagine. Does that work? It does. Okay, well that one's easy enough. I'll go through and check that I changed it everywhere. I think my library arguably doesn't actually need to use hiccup. I only really want to use it for the watcher and stuff like that, because all of the functions that I wrote they generate hiccup data structures. So the user of the library could, I might cut out that as a dependency. I don't know. But the main, like all of the stuff I've written, I then pass into hiccup. So potentially I could slice it out so that the user can choose hiccup or something else entirely, something that is Clojure script compatible, you know? Anyway, not important for right now. Let's finish writing out the little bits of feedback here, because I haven't got to the interesting stuff yet. The other thing, refer all is deprecated. I'll be honest though, for playground or quick and dirty REPL work, oops, I still kind of think it's okay. Weak argument, but I'm lazy when I'm when I'm in the CLJ REPL. Yeah, so that could very well be something to replace. I'm pretty sure I only use it in the sandbox, right? I think that's the only place I actually do that, but I'll double check that. So that's good to point out, because for sure I can't use it Clojure script side anyway. So not a big deal. So refer all might be all right, but I'll see. So this here, this one, I don't know about the. I don't know exactly what you mean with this. Thread last macro should be kept for stream operations. To compose better other functions. Here's another one I am not sure about, but I'll think through this. I think that translate element should take lm as first argument. Could be. So that looks like currently the level of feedback you gave. That's okay. Propose to change the order of parameters in translate element. Yeah, so let me look at that. What I'm curious about is why. Is that so that rename translate element to translate? Well, so, okay, let me see here. So I have this function here, translate, which, granted, it might be a little messier, but it is the interface to it all, right? So I guess you're proposing that I rework the way I've developed this interface altogether, right? Basically eliminate this. But let's see here. What I am thinking about is why would it be good to change the order? Why would it be good to put the element first in translate element? It's not clear to me. You might be right, but it's not clear to me why that would be a worthwhile change. That's my question. I don't understand it yet. You could very well be right, but that would also then mean I do also similarly have to change rotate, right? So that it would do the element and then the degrees. So this is my first guess as to why you would think that. It's so that instead of doing thread last stuff like this, transform translate 1010, instead of writing things this way, if I switch the arguments around, I would instead be writing everything with the thread first macro. Is that the primary reason that you're suggesting that? Or is there something else? Yeah, that's the reason. Okay. So, hello, there we go. So let's see. Thread first and thread last. When you place this code, ooh, Hi everyone. How's everybody doing? I'm sorry, I am just trying to wrap my head around what just happened. I see there's a raid from TJDV. Thanks for that. Hello everyone else for sorry, I just got caught off guard here a little bit. Switch to the dark screen is hurting your eyes. Like this? How's everybody doing? I hope you're all well. Thanks for the raid. Someone's talking about Neovim, Frogbirds following. Oh, thanks for that. Thanks, Xcoding. I'm gonna have to give myself a second to collect myself here because my view count just went higher than I've ever experienced before. So hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. TJDV followed as well. Thank you. You're doing great. Got a new keyboard today and chat was watching you struggle big time with it. Welcome everyone. Welcome. What kind of keyboard did you get? My newest keyboard, and it's almost a shame. Right now I'm just using the one that comes with the Mac, but I have this. I mean, there is another half to it, but this is an Ergodox EZ, one of my favorite keyboards. I don't know why I'm not using it, to be honest. You switched from an Ergodox. Okay, so you're in the same ballpark. Oh my goodness. I am, Thanks everyone for tuning in. I genuinely, this is a shock to me. This is very new. I appreciate it all, everyone. And up front, apologies if I miss some messages. I do my best, but if they're not all there. Tuan, thank you for the follow as well. We can get you to affiliate. Hey, you know what? I won't complain about that. Thanks, everyone. Jaden, thank you for that. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a great surprise. What a great day. Well, now now I'm scared to do anything. Nah, that's okay. So so obviously the raid brings a few people around. What kind of content do you, if you're still here, TJ, what kind of content do you do? Are you the Neovim core developer? I'm sorry, if I'm fumbling a bit. Where are you from, Adam? Oh, so originally I grew up in southern Ontario, Canada, and I'm streaming now. I recently moved to Vancouver, so that's where I'm at the moment. Tej, you do open source development on stream, mostly for Neovim core and or related plugins. He's a Rust evangelist. Ooh, fascinating. Rust is on my list of languages I'd love to learn. Canada, America's hat. America is southern Canada. No, that's not true. The Great North, you know. Don't trust anything chat says. I'll keep my eyes open. I'll be wary in a good way. Yeah, but so how many people are familiar with Clojure who've tuned in here? That's very uncomfortable as a hat. You grew up in South Canada, aka Wisconsin. Nice. Well, totally trustworthy. You know what? I guess I'll have to wait and see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Rust is on the list of things to work on, and yeah, so I'm a self-taught Clojure developer. Well, I'm a self-taught any programming language. I learned mechanical engineering in school, so this is a bit of a pivot, as it were. I like to work on CAD tooling and stuff like that, but today I'm working on... Chat about that next. You're leaving? Hey, Tej, you're leaving? That's totally cool. Thank you so much for the raid. I'm gonna fumble my way through chatting with all these new people and hoping things are okay. Apologies for the blinding screen here, but I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what I'm working on today so that there's some context here. So let's just pop on over to this here. Clojure is what you use to model the dactyl keyboard built for your finger geometry. So that's the extent of what I know about Clojure. So just so that we're clear here, I am not the creator of Dactyl. I wanna make that, just in case people are confused about this. I don't want to take credit for something that's not mine. Dactyl is, I believe his name is Matthew Farrell, is the creator of that. And it's been used, I think a few other people have started adapting it. But I use the same library to do my own 3D modeling as well. I'm not sure that this is the original creator, but I want to be clear, I was not the originator of Dactyl, so just being clear with that one. Darkreader.org, oh boy. Oh, thanks for the follow, Cotter. So the extent of what you know about Clojure, their Absinthe, is that Dactyl was used with it. That's cool. I'll see if I can give a bit of a crash course here, see if I can come up with something cool to show. Let's show a little bit of... let's do this. So... Hey, no problem. Yeah, appreciate it. Dactyl in Greek means finger. Ah, there you go. That actually makes sense. I did not know that. Right. So, I'm just launching another REPL here, so I can run this kind of hacky library. Okay. So, oh wait, that's the wrong. Sorry, everyone. Let's do... Okay. Trying to think of like the simplest way to kind of showcase and explain little bits of Clojure here. So let me close this off. So there's a few things happening on screen here. One is not Clojure specific. It is just using Emacs and a mode called org mode. So I have all of my code in a single text file, and what I can do is unfold these sections, and I have blocks of code, and every time I save the file, need to go. Have an awesome rest of the stream. Happy coding. Have a good one, y'all. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for chatting. Really appreciate that. Have a good day or evening, whatever it is. Right, where was I? Yeah, so this org mode thing, right? You can expand and collapse these headings. You can put code blocks in, and you can write. This is normal prose. Also to keep notes, etc. Ooh, right? When you save the org file, it does what's called a tangle into a different file. So I can assign a code block to be copied and pasted into a different file basically automatically. So that way I can write all my source code as I'm thinking. I'm a little absent-minded, so I could just put functions kind of wherever. I can try to explain things and take notes as I'm going. And then I save it, and it will order things into a proper file structure for a proper Clojure project. So that's what's going on here. So in this particular case, I just bashed everything into a main file because this is not a real project in any way. But tangling this sets up a proper project structure. So what I can do is launch the REPL, which is Cider is what it's called. That's the Emacs plugin that will connect me to a REPL. And in this case, what I'm actually going to run is the Clojure script REPL. And the reason for that is I'm just going to run this little project and it compiles to JavaScript, and I can hot code reload to this web page and show you the kind of SVG stuff I'm working on with this library. So give a little visual context. So let's do the dev build. So just got to let that go up, or compile and boot up. Then it'll open things in the browser for me once it's running. And then when I make code changes, it'll change in the browser, and we can see what's happening real time. Pretty powerful workflow, in my opinion. I didn't invent any of this. I just use it. I just use it. By the way, anyone, feel free to ask questions, chat amongst yourselves. If you have questions about Clojure, oh man, even I'm getting blinded by this screen. I will gladly try to answer questions if I know, and I will just be straight up and honest if I don't know the answers. I don't want to pretend like I know everything, but I love to try and explain things if there are any questions. So here we go. Let me pop these windows around a little bit. Okay, so here, this one's kind of fun. I made this over the weekend. This is an SVG graphic with animate tags right in there. And I'll show you the code changing to that reflects the change right there. Tiling window manager on OS X. Nice. Yeah, so it's not perfect, but that's mostly because I'm too lazy to set it up properly. It is Yabai is I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. You're using i3 window manager. Yeah, so I keep saying it and just haven't got around to it. I want to build another workstation sometime soon, and I'll go with some kind of Linux distro, and I'll either be doing something like i3 or another comparable window manager. Tiling window managers are my favorite by far. Yeah, so this here, Yabai, is the manager I use, and it works reasonably well. BSP window manager, yeah, that's another example of one. Awesome's also great. Yeah, so one of those I will pick. I mean, once you've got it set up the way you want, they all end up performing similarly. So I have no preference either way. I'll just kind of poke around and see what ends up making the most sense. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, it's pretty good. Setting it up might be a little weird with permissions and stuff in the newest Mac OS, but there are instructions on the wiki, so you can give it a shot. Regolith, strong tiling i3 setup on top of Ubuntu. Good to know. Oh hey, Mac, I know your name. So I've been caught unawares and am just still overwhelmed by the biggest view count I've currently seen on my stream. I had a really nice raid from someone named TJDV, and I'm having a wonderful time, but there's a lot of unfamiliar screen names. You like Manjaro or Arch as a distro? I've tried the Manjaro distro before, and I did the one that had i3 set up by default, and it was really quite nice. Cool, are they behaving? Oh yeah, everyone's been really nice. No problems. Unfortunately, I've been too surprised to do any real work, so I'm afraid that I'm just boring everyone. But I wanted to try to give a little bit of context to what I'm trying to work on today, which is my SVG-CLJ library. Everyone's been fantastic, so no real complaints. And I'm just showing. I made this kind of animation here with. Here it's really hacky, but it works. So I've got this thing called sphere, and it was called sphere because originally it wasn't moving around like this. Is it, did I make it sphere? Sorry, let's follow this here. Yeah, sphere. Let me make a code change to prove that it does actually change. Does it actually change? There we go, yeah. So there we go, code change right there. Mike, best thing about dev stream chats is generally everyone's pretty well behaved. Yeah, I've not had many negative experiences. I think probably the worst behaved we can all get is if we get into debates, editor debates, or static dynamic typing debates, that kind of thing. But even if people have strong opinions about those things generally aren't a real problem at all, which I'm super appreciative of. I like that the community like that is doing okay. You could try pool stream. I don't know what that is. Paranic. I'm not sure what pool stream is. Is that another streamer, or is that a... I have no idea what that is, sorry. Sphere 2. Oh, what did I do? This is very wrong. Let's get rid of this. So the way the animate tag works in SVG, you have to give it you have to specify which attribute you want to change, and then you have to specify the values it changes between. So in the case of a path, you have to make sure it'll automatically tween point positions of a path, but you have to make sure the two paths have the same number of points, or else it'll not necessarily work. So what I had to do here is I made two polygons, one at a small size and one at a larger size, and then pass that into the values to tween between. So it made this whole kind of messy looking thing. In fact, if I do this, oop, my apologies, it's not going in the REPL there. Oh, like the chicks that stream near a pool with a bikini and have interesting conversations with viewers. I mean, I'd put on a bikini. I'm not ashamed of something like that, but I'm not sure that it would help me in any way. Very different vibe than developer streams for sure. Oh boy. Okay, so this is just some visual example of the stuff I'm working on. What's something kind of weird I can do yet without... Oops. Unfortunately, prior to the raid, I was working on incorporating some feedback I got from a follower, Greencoder, on how I can... Ooh, that actually looks pretty cool. On potential improvements I can make to the library. And I was working on taking the notes and then looking at making those changes in the code base. And that's still important to do. I just wanted to try and give some of the new viewers a little bit of context here. So, as I understand it, computers and pools don't mix well. Yeah, not usually. Final thing I'll say, just to give a little bit of background for anyone new tuned in here. In Clojure, there's a really popular and basically everyone knows about it, I would say probably, library called Hiccup. And what it is is a, I guess you could call it a domain-specific language. But here you go. It's a library for representing HTML in Clojure. There you go. That's the simplest way to explain it. It uses vectors to represent elements and maps to represent an element's attributes. So what does that mean? It's like this. If I wanted, let's say I wanted to make a paragraph, right? A paragraph would be something like this in HTML /p. It's like VDOM. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Right, so this is a string, which is just an HTML tag. You represent it this way with a vector. In Clojure, this square bracket data structure is called a vector. It's like a list, but it's not lazy. It's all reified at once. Something along those lines. Anyway, you write it like this. So you have the P key at the front here, and then it's in there, and then to render it or compile it or whatever, you run, I don't know that I have it, I do say hiccup.core/html should compile this. Well, let's switch this to the other REPL then, maybe? 1 second, I'll be able to get this soon. Where am I at? Sorry about this. Losing myself a little bit. Okay, let's try this one. hiccup2.core/html. Here we go. Here's an example. P paragraph. Run this. Run this. Oh, come on. I'm making a fool of myself, apparently. Sorry, everyone. I'm just not... It's just not working the way I was thinking it would. Oscar Allen, thanks for the follow. By the way, I'm not sure if I missed any follows. Thanks, everyone. Just blanket statement. Thank you. What am I trying to do? Okay, let's see here. Let's pop into the sandbox, maybe. Let's try this. You did it already. In a string, at least. Yeah, I'm trying to just show the... What am I doing here? Oh, I see. It was... Okay. I was just not quite paying attention. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay. So here it is. The string representation. It's an object here, but the string is right here. Sorry, I was missing that. That's all. Emacs with Nord. Not sure how I feel about Emacs, but I like Nord. Yeah, Nord is a... I really love it. It's a really subtle theme, and I enjoy the colors quite a bit. I use Nord for everything, basically. Like my desktop, this is just my plain desktop. You know, maybe one day I'll think of images to use again, but for streaming, it's nice to not have too much visual clutter. I mean, my Emacs has enough visual clutter as it is, right? But yeah, I use Nord everywhere. It's quite nice. Is this an iMac? Yes, it is. Yeah, I got it used from my cousin a while ago, so it's not the most powerful machine anymore. But it gets the job done a lot of the time. I want to upgrade soon, but I don't have like a dire need to, so it's a little hard to justify spending the money, you know? You know, we'll see how well the stream goes. Maybe the stream can help me with those sorts of things at some point in the future, but I'm not rushing things right now. Last thing I'll say, let's def an example here. You can nest these structures like this, and if you do HTML-A, excuse me, it correctly nests all of the HTML in there like that. A basic Linux distro plus a tiling window manager will make that iMac feel like new. I bet it would. I've never tried to install any OS on an iMac before, actually, to be quite honest. I've only ever installed Linux distros on like old Windows laptops and stuff like that. I'm sure it's not too difficult, but or would you have to do it through what's it called? Is it called Parallels? The dual booting. I don't know how to do it. I'm sure it's possible, but I'm not sure how. Okay, so with a little bit of an attempt at background, what I'd like to do is try and address feedback from an excellent, friendly, and helpful follower, Green Coder, and see what bits of this can be helpful to incorporate. So that's what I'll be working on. Anyone, feel free to chat and ask questions at any point. That's totally cool. I am a distracted person anyway, so it's never your fault. It's always my choice to read the chat or ignore it and get some work done. So no one should feel shy about asking questions, you know? You can run Linux on computers much older than from 2018. Yeah, it's not so. Yeah, Mike, it's not with Mac stuff. It's not a performance related thing. It's almost always access to installing other images. That, as far as I understand it. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Everyone's saying it. Everyone. It's mentioned in the chat there. So that's. I haven't thought to look. I do have some old laptops lying around still that I can kind of resurrect into these other things if I want. And I have an 8 gig RAM 64-bit Pi 4, which could be fun to kind of goof around on as well. I have an iPad that I SSH into that, and I can do some development on that as well. And I mean, you could stream that too. That'd be kind of cool. All right, so the things I was thinking about, let's see what might be easy here. Mac, if someone wants to play around with Clojure and graphics, Quill might be a good place to start. Streaming from an NVIDIA Jetson Nano is what I should do with my life. Go for it, why not? Quill, Clojure. Mac, yeah, I've actually not used Quill myself before, but you're not wrong. Quill is I'm pretty sure it is a wrapper over P5.js, if I believe so. I believe anyway. So, project on GitHub. Yeah, so I've actually not really used Quill much myself. There's an online IDE. Oh, that's really neat. I'm sure it's way better than my little online thing as well. I've got... wait a minute, don't I have this open already? I made this single pager where you can technically play around with code as well, but it's certainly not as thorough or foolproof as Quill's online stuff. But you can go to my repo and goof around with this as well. It does update code live as well. See, And anything, you can do that all here. But yeah, Quill is a much more powerful thing. My library is basically a wrapper for helping you make SVG with hiccup data structures. Nothing too crazy. Oops. So, green coders, feedback, refer all is deprecated. I'll start with this. This might be the easiest thing to check. What I'm going to do is have a little peek at all of the namespaces and just make sure that it's only used in the context of sort of playground sandbox type of thing. So admin and design are just to-do lists. And design, oh, you know what? I should probably do this. This is another reason I love Emacs org mode. It's used in the tests. Okay, thanks, Screen Coder. That is really good to know. I will fix that. Ah, yes, I missed it. The tests are another major weakness I have. I need to create more tests. And I need to have I definitely need to focus on writing tests as I get closer to a kind of stable release. Tests are definitely important, and mine aren't very thorough yet. That's the problem. To just admit my weaknesses, I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm still learning the best way to do all of this kind of stuff. So tests were an unfortunate weak point initially, and now I'm playing the catch-up game, but it's all part of the game. So refer all is not what I want here. So of course I do in fact want refer and then a list of a bunch of things to use here. Also missing the transform requires, yes, because those changes SVG-CLJ dot transforms as transforms, yeah, and path yeah. I think, yeah, I'll just go with that for the time being. Refer, man, oh man. I'm realizing that the sandbox is probably less and less of a useful thing to have at all. I might just chuck it entirely. The thing, so the thing that this is just a silly pride thing. It's not a great design idea, but I made a video about and was proud of myself for figuring out with a bit of help from the Clojure Slack how to do intern with meta. So I was proud of it, but I'm realizing it's not really all that helpful. So I might just have to ditch the sandbox entirely, but I left it in there because I was proud of that function, but that's honestly not a great reason to keep things in, you know? So here as well in the watcher, I've got refer all, and the watcher is only the Clojure. I think I'll do it properly everywhere. Just get rid of that altogether. Then it's simple, it's consistent, can't make a mistake then, right? It will live forever in the immutable glory of the Git repo. There you go, Green Coder. That makes me feel better. Yeah, no, that's one thing I have to learn is to just stay humble. Don't get too attached, you know. Like try to work and be proud of the work you're doing, but don't, you know, if you got to chuck something, you got to chuck something. It's all part of the process. I'm okay with that. That's all part of slowly getting better, I think. So, what is, let's see, main, no, what am I doing? SVG-CLJ.main/. All right, let's see. Lazy. Okay, let's have a look here. Oh, I didn't even need to do that. It stayed up here. Kill your darlings, I guess. Yeah, so I said it in older streams too, is like, so there is genuine, like I get a sense of relief and happiness almost out of like, oh, I realize I can delete this entire thing. I I wrote it, I tried it, I thought it would work, it didn't, or oh, I can do this instead and I don't need, like I need a single line versus I need 3 or 4 functions. It feels pretty good to kind of slim things down like that a little bit. So I try to remember for myself that like sometimes the right solutions are just removing things, not always adding, right? Because a library will accrue stuff over time anyway. You don't always want to solve problems by adding more stuff. That's not always a guaranteed way to success. So I try to take pride in that as well. So SVG-CLJ main, refer circle, ellipse, G, image, line, polygon, polyline, rectangle, style for sure, SVG the wrap, text, these ones I think are kind of experimental, so I will leave those. Is that right? Let's see. Invalid token. Oh, yeah, that's yeah. That seems to be working. Let's get rid of this. All right. So what any new viewers and or followers who are still here, it seemed like not too many people were familiar with Clojure, or if they aren't necessarily Clojure devs. What kind of languages are people using? What kind of projects are you all working on? I mean, the TJDV was a NeoVim, so I feel like I'm accidentally freaking people out by using Emacs, but are you all Rust devs primarily? Maybe some of you aren't devs at all and you just enjoy watching programming. What's the story for anyone willing to share? Absinthe, manage a DevOps team, you write Bash and you're learning to write Python. Wow. Man, that's cool. 99% of what I write is YAML. Ooh. I feel sorry for you in that that sounds condescending. It's really cool that you're running a DevOps team. I don't personally enjoy YAML as a as a thing. But so you use YAML a lot for that's a configuration thing, right? Kind of like JSON would be used for a lot of stuff. Tafir, you work on ML in Python, really cool. Ansible, Terraform, oh gotcha. Tafir, you're currently writing your thesis in is it, I know it's not latex, is it LaTeX, right? Or LaTeX? A or A? It doesn't matter. LaTeX, I think. I think it counts. I mean, I think it's considered a markup language. So in the same way that HTML is not strictly speaking a full programming language, but LaTeX, whatever is the proper pronunciation, is I think complex enough thing that you may as well call it programming. There's no shame in that. It's very cool. I've not learned it fully myself though. You enjoy Pepineros, you enjoy coding Python, Bash and Lua, and spending time configuring Awesome as well as NVim. You're not coding professionally. Gotcha. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not, I think programming is an extremely useful thing to know. Not necessary to know, but useful to know, even if you're not a professional developer. It lets you kind for me, I've found it really lets me view my computer less as some kind of magical black box and more as a tool, right? You feel a little more confident trying things. You say, well, I would imagine there's a way to find a program or make a program that does this thing, and it kind of unlocks the potential of the computer, in my mind anyway, a little bit, which is always quite nice. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. I'm talking too much, everyone. That's not anyone's fault but my own. Okay, let's see. Oh boy. So this... Right, so... The examples and the tests need improving for sure. Test namespace, let's fix this one up. Refer, we'll do this. Okay. CLJ main as SVG, and then refer all those other things, and then we get rid of this. Oop. There we go. Mac, LaTeX is Turing complete. I did not know that. That's cool. All right. I'll be right back, everyone. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to the washroom. I'll be just very brief. It won't be long. All right, there we go. Okay. Green Coder, not sure if you're still watching. If you are, do you have maybe an explanation or a link to a good explanation related to the thread first, thread last situation? Because I'm trying to understand why it might be desirable to do thread first versus thread last. This might be the perfect place to start, so let me copy this over into here so I'm not blinding everyone with the white everywhere. So let's see. Pure functions transform immutable data. Yeah. Yeah. Just depends on the signature of the functions you're trying to compose. Yeah, so sorry, yeah, thanks Mac. I understand that. Like thread first versus thread last, they operate the same way, but they'll just put the result of the function into the either the first or last argument position. I understand that completely. One of the bits of feedback that Greencoder provided to me was right here. They sent me the feedback through Twitter DMs, so I have to transpose them into my issue tracker. But for the time being now, I'm just trying to kind of inundate the ideas into my mind properly. Anyway, what they said here, Greencoder said, the thread last macro should be kept for stream operations so that they compose better with other functions. So, and then related to that, associ and dissociate using thread first, for example. That's true. That's a good point. It's a great point. And so related to that, Greencoder also suggested that the translate and rotate functions, currently I use the thread last argument order, but if I were to rethink it, I would just switch the arguments around and then use thread first. Map and filter use thread last. They are stream operations. Right, so, but, okay, so fundamentally the argument is basically, strictly speaking, translate and rotate are not operating on streams of data, but rather on singular LMs or groups as if they were single LMs. On objects, yeah. There you go. Yeah, objects is probably a better way to do it here. So that's actually, okay, so that makes a lot of sense to me. That's a really good thing. Those things are starting to come together in my mind a little bit. So here, let me add context here so that I can remember this after the stream. Assoc and dissoc use thread first. Oops. Map and filter use thread last. So here, you do a thing to a single object of some kind, right? Roughly speaking. I'm speaking very loosely. These are just notes for myself, so I have only myself to blame. Map and filter will work on lists, lazy lists, infinite, all possible. My original translate can be replaced with map translate element onto the element collection. Yes, that's probably true. So just to set the stage here, I genuinely am happy that I'm getting feedback. Greencoder, you're being really helpful with that. I am nervous because I'm self-taught, right? And this is the first kind of publicly viewable thing, right? And criticism is totally important. And I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, I don't know. This is what I came up with. Does it make sense? Yes or no? And these are exactly the right bits to really learn what other people, see when they see the library. So it's really helpful. It some of the advice I have to still figure out why it might be good to do. Does that make sense? Like, since there's still a lot I have to learn, I have to take my time understanding it all. So the original, all of these functions here, I basically designed it. There's no right or wrong thing about the threading order. Oh yeah, I'm talking more generally speaking. That's part of the thing, is I sometimes am not sure what is definitely we should do things this way versus what is just a difference of opinion. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to tell. That's all, and it's a learning process. And I'll say I'm nervous and super excited that the library is getting closer and closer to something that is like, hey, have a look, use it if you want. So it's genuinely helpful. So my original, I don't know if you can see this, my intent with these functions here is all of the methods, right? As I was writing them, I was thinking this translate element literally only works on one element. That was the idea. Whether or not that actually is true is another thing. Then, to wrap it all up together, you would actually call translate. The user would call just translate, which basically dispatches. If it's a list, it maps it. If it's a single thing, it does a single thing. That was the idea. So I have to actually look at what I was thinking here originally, and I want to make sure things don't break assumption-wise. There is a with or against convention used by existing functions. Yeah, totally. And the convention argument is a good argument. I'm not fighting against that. Not at all. This here, the idea of assoc and dissoc as different from map and filter, that makes a lot of sense to me. I didn't understand that before, or I didn't make a strong distinction in my head, so I didn't understand why it might be a nice distinction, but it's making a lot of sense. Okay, so just trying to think through low-hanging fruit. Utils, I think, can stay as it is. Oh, yes, another thing. Specs in the function body. Big thing. And this is a big thing I have no clear understanding of myself. What's a really good example of this? So let's have a little peek here. Translate element is more useful for the user than the original translate. It can be used inside a transducer. Into vector map translate element collection. I'm thinking through how I'd use this. What namespace am I in? Sorry. Is this gonna work? We'll try something like that. Your example's a little too abstract. So what I'm thinking of is, what I'm actually trying to think of is a natural scenario in which you would want to produce No, I'm sorry. I'm just. It's kind of like thinking. So here's what I'm thinking through a little bit is. So if I, let's say. Okay. Circle. Really? I thought I had that. SVG/circle. All right, sorry. I am losing the plot here. All right, let's focus up, get things going. I don't know why there's no main in here, but let's add it. Let's go with that. Okay, so let's imagine a situation where, well, let's just run translate on SVG circle, right? Oop. Oh, I need to give it arguments, of course. This, by the way, this is my one counter argument for doing it with a thread first. When I thread elements, or when I have the element as the argument that comes at the end of the translate or rotate, I can write an S expression that looks like this. Translate the X and Y and then the object. And to me, this is intuitive and readable. My opinion, of course. This is the true reason why I have the order of arguments that I do. If I want to translate a single thing, this was the first thing that my brain thought of as something that made sense. And I do stand by the fact that this is a little more confusing. You see what I mean? It would be translate this circle by this amount, which is a fine sentence, but to me, it's a little less nice. Does that make sense? So for a single shape, it's not too bad. It just so happens not to match a strong Clojure convention. Yeah, I know, I'm running into... It's a bit of a trick, isn't it? So there is prior work that has a similar set of logic to it. I'm not justifying it, I'm just bringing it up. No, Pharrell M. Yeah. So this SVG-CLJ thing, which I've talked about plenty and I use it a lot, it also has this order of operations. So if I have a look at, I believe it's the model. Let's do translate. Yeah, so here, this has the same order, so it does the same thing. The first set of arguments is the position vector to translate to, and block being the shape that you're translating comes next. So there's prior work there. This is my conundrum, right? This is truly the reason why I went with the thread last convention. Still think that, imagine you have a group of, just for fun, how does it sound for you? Associate into this key the value M. Oh, no, M is the map. Sorry. I'm just reading it foolishly. Associate into this key this value, this map. Right, you're making a counter argument a little bit, I think. I'm thinking. I am thinking about this. So he have to sleep. See you next time. Thanks, Green Coder. Sincerely, thank you for the feedback. It's given me a lot to think about, a lot to work on. This might be something I put in the SVG-CLJ Slack channel just to see if there are other people who have insight into this as well. Because I'm still biased towards my original idea of this approach, but it's not a convincing argument either way, right? That's the thing. Okay, well, instead of worrying about that, let me just finish up messing around with all these namespaces, making sure the namespaces work, and remove any refer all so that I don't rely on that anymore. Then, if there's time left, I'll start poking around with alternative ideas to the problem of using spec in my main functions. So hopefully I can get somewhere with that. Let's see. Okay, so utilities is nice and simple. It just has string there. I also, oh boy. Clojure common alias for string. I think string is probably more commonly str, right, as opposed to st. Is that a big deal? I'll worry about that one another time. Not a problem right now. Okay, so this utils thing works. Yes, str. So I probably, for people to not go crazy, I should probably do str, right? That would be a safe bet to make. Cursive adds str by convention. So the reason why I thought it was maybe not a good idea to do that is because str is also a function, but maybe it's not a big deal. Yeah, I suppose it's not a problem, really. str does make more sense anyway, so I'll switch to str, and that'll put that one to rest. That's an easy one, not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. So all it means is I have to replace all of these with str. Let's just do query replace st slash with str slash. Oh, good. It's all working. I'm just doing query replace just in case there's a situation where it's not going to be the correct change, so I can kind of see it before I change it. Like here, for example, I don't want to do that, so I press del instead. Oh wait, not del, I should do enter, right? Oops. Well, let's do the same thing. Oh, it's all done. Perfect. I think that went fine. All right, so there we go. Simple change. Hopefully it all works. Okay, so let's assume utils is good. Specs string as str. That should be fine. Spec.alpha as that s. Specs are the big thing I still have. I think I need design help with when it comes to specs, and I'll try to explain what I mean by that in a minute. Oh, this doesn't look good. Ugh, it's ugly. That's the thing I don't like. It's ugly to me. Hey, that's fine though. You know, I think my desire to do refer all, I think that comes from when I was first learning Python, and you just do import library and you can kind of get everything in there. Clojure.string as s is preferred by 100% on GitHub for a reason. Interesting. No, thanks for that, Mac. That's a good... See, so this is... Well, I mean, I can still change it. It's not a big change either way. Let me see here. So, like this, as S is seriously, like that is definitely the preference. Because I see Clojure spec is also in the guide referred to as S, so it would conflict in the case where I need both of those in the same library. I mean, it wouldn't conflict. I'd have to use a different alias, which is fine. But okay. Maybe I'm getting hung up on this a little more than is necessary. Like I'm probably worrying a little too much. Like, I feel like str is better than st, but maybe not as good as s. I don't know. It's a little subjective in my mind. Join is not the right string join. Please type. No? That was weird. Right, so this, I mean, this example has str. I mean, examples aren't de facto, right? It's not definitive. My choice temporarily is to leave it as str so that I'm not wasting brain energy on things that I can change fairly easily later. Okay, so though your input Mac is not ignored, it's just temporarily shelved. Hope that's okay. I'm sure it's not a big deal. I trust you not to be beat up by that choice to move on a little bit here. Okay, so SVG-CLJ.path, Clojure.string as string, for now anyway. Here is where I run into frustration or confusion about how to work with something like spec. This is what I mean. I have string slash does not shadow string. Yeah, I guess because it is a namespace versus a function, right? So is that always going to be fine? Am I going to be able to, in response to Mac? Yeah. String REPL/doc str. Oops, wrong, not short form. It's always fine. Yeah. I think that'll settle it in my mind, at least for now. I'm going to be okay with it. I'm just going to move on through that. Okay, let's see if I can explain my challenges when it comes to spec here. So I have this path string DSL to work with the complexity of SVG path elements. So just have to refresh my own brain as to how I've done this. Clojure guides threading macros. Thread first versus thread last. I'll have to give this one a good read. I realize reading an article is not exactly the most stream-worthy thing here. I'm just skimming it to try see where the nuggets are, but this will be very likely a thing that makes more sense to do offline. So tab open, temporarily put aside here, shifting my focus again back briefly to the idea of where I'm struggling with pulling spec out of my approach here. And fundamentally it boils down to, I forget where I put it, give me a second, but I've used some specs to create predicate functions that I use to filter things in the main path, like in the main calculations. So maybe in path it's not a really good example. Oh, I also, yeah, so here, for example, I have here, right? So I'm using the specs in the pre, and you can turn off preconditions, but is that where I actually care about it? Maybe it's like the preconditions maybe are unnecessary. Sorry, I've been doing other work, and my own library I've paused a little bit. So going into the code again, it takes me a minute to remember exactly where things are at. Maybe it wasn't in path. Maybe it's somewhere else entirely. Okay, right. So path string allowed, path string valid, all of this stuff, it was in translate. Okay. Right, spec/element. Right, so spec alpha fdef. Yeah. Right, so that's, let me do this. See if I can rework the translate element function to eliminate the need for this interfacing. For this interface. Spec instrumentation. Right, so I understand about spec instrumentation, which is all fine and good, but the way I've done this, I am conditionally branching on whether or not the spec is fulfilled. So I can't disable a spec in the main branching logic, right? I would need to, I need to rewrite this so that I don't have that at all, or not use spec for this particular function, right? I would just need it to be something like this instead of spec/element. But the reason I thought to do spec/element was specs and preds. Here, svalid SVG element. This is the predicate that I'm using, and SVG element is, it could be, it has a few different shapes. So again, this might be me being naive about how to use spec. Like these might not even be the best written specs, right? But for example, it's possible here, basically I used like all of these specs are wrapped up into right here, SVG element, and then I just use s/valid to create an element predicate, and then I use it in the branching logic. So I would just need to get rid of that branching logic altogether, I think, is what it comes down to. And now tying that into Green Coder's advice or suggestion to rework the translate so that I don't have this interface here, but instead use translate elements implementations more directly. So instead of calling translate and then it calling translate element, either mapping it or whatever, just ignoring that and letting the user use it directly, that could eliminate that problem. Then I just have to double check, or then I just have to make sure that any time I have a precondition, it's disabled in a production environment. So that could work. That's not a bad idea. So to test that thinking out, what I'll do is what's a good way to do that? Let's have a little peek here. Let's start something like this. Let's do A is circle. Okay. Then let's translate that. Oh, that's my bad. TF/translate. So that results in a circle where it's got the transform stuff kind of scrunched in there. But what if I do TF/translate element? Again, forgetting to write enough arguments. So these end up being equivalent here. Now, what if I do def b as list, take 10, oh wait, sorry, I can just do this, repeat 10a. Okay, so it's now a list of items. If I translate b, oh, wait 1 second. Oh no, that makes sense. Again, I'm forgetting. Right, so here it's made a bit of a jumble. So this is just obviously not working correctly. So if let me just translate 1010, apply SVG/G to B. Okay, so what I actually would want from this situation here, where I translate a list of items, is to get a list of items, not a nested list like this, with the translate applied to each thing individually. How I achieve that is actually exactly what Greencoder said, which would be something like this. Map TF/, oh, I have to do this, TF/translate 1010 onto B gets me the result that makes more intuitive sense. So that, I believe, is what some of the issues are. We're getting at some of the problems here. So this has to be rewritten. I have to fix it. All right, let's zip this back. Now let me, while I'm here goofing off in the REPL, let's do a rotate. Same problem. Rotate. Oops. No? There we go. Yeah, that works. Yeah, okay, so there's some work to be done here. So let's try to capture some of this in my notes a little bit, and then I'll try to maybe make a basic test. I'll have to figure out how best to approach this particular issue, but that's okay. A brief respite from my mind here. I have to check my messages. You know, it's a slight shame. I didn't think to talk about my YouTube channel or anything like that while there were more people tuned in and watching. I should have done that. But if there's anyone new now wondering about the YouTube channel at all, or any, like, you know, what's going on there, you can have a look once my keyboard responds. One day. Ba 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 da ba ba da ba ba dum. The computer that I use to actually do the streaming, it kind of fully commits to the stream, and sometimes the text boxes in the browser take a minute to actually respond. So I think that worked. We'll find out in a minute. Right, so transforms and computations. Fixes. Fixes needed. If I run translate palindrome, can I prove that every even whole number greater than 2 is the sum of 2 prime numbers? I don't think so. At least not on the spot. Why? Even whole number greater than 2 is the sum of 2 prime numbers. Are you nerd sniping me? Is that what's going on? I'm trying to write notes so that I don't forget what code I have to fix. What prompts this question, Palindrome? Just curious. Do you have the answer, by the way? I don't have it. I don't know. Not off the top of my head. If I run translate on a list of elements, it incorrectly nests everything. So I get a what's n levels of depth, where n is number of elements in the list. It's just wrong. Right, so for example, this, I forget how to do a Clojure like this. There. Flawless. Very wrong. But if I map translate element over the list, it works correctly. Basically, I think I should remove the need for the interface function and just have users directly use the translate element, rotate lm, etc. This should also eliminate the problem where I'm using spec in conditional branching directly. So palindrome, do you have the answer? Would you just come in here and put a question, then just leave, just bounce? I'm sorry, I've never had anyone ask directly math related questions like that. It just seems out of the blue. It seems strange to me. Right, so works or correct output comment. Right, so here, where am I at here? I want to do this. Right. So I either should fix the interface function or eliminate it entirely. So let's see what's happening here. Hope everyone's still with me. Having a good day, by the way. Hope you're all well. I'm doing my best here today, but I'm starting to slow down. I might need to stop soon and get some food, you know. Good old grub, maybe a coffee, maybe go on a run. If you can, get outside, you know. Life's not only in front of a computer, right? We've got this wonderful world to explore outside. See, this is the problem when I don't know specifically where I want to head next with the work I'm doing for the day. It's hard to motivate into some next step. So I'm trying to think about what would be a sensible thing to do next. That's the thought process happening right now. And all right, let's try to parse out the logic I used for the translate interface, and I'll go from there. So let's clear this out of the way. So translate element always takes the position or the XY translate amount and the element itself destructured with the key and the properties and whatever, always. So it only ever takes a single thing. This is the idea behind the translate interface, was exactly to really translate to X, Y, This just is not correct. So let's break it down a little bit more here. Let's do the basics. Let's take elements as the input. So it'll either be a single thing or more than that. So let's just do if count elements is greater than 1, what? Oh, sorry everyone, I'm losing the plot here. If count of LMs is greater than 1, right? If it's 2 or more, if that's true, then I want the result to actually be map translate element map that function over the list of elements. Wait a minute, won't that always be true? I should be able to just do this, right? Hey Jaden RTS. Sorry, I was in the middle of thinking. I'm trying to think about the improvements or how I want to approach it, changing up my library a bit. Did many people stick around from TJ's stream? For a good chunk, yeah. We're down a little bit lower now again, but that's not. I mean that happens, right? I mean it was near the end of TJ's stream, so not everyone's gonna stick. Probably for the first hour or so, we had you get the first big swell, then it went down probably to 2/3, and I saw that for about an hour. So really quite pleased with that. And then you slowly see people trickle out, which is totally cool. But thanks for checking in. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's how do I say it? Like, I've been streaming for a bit, and it's always with small audiences, you know, not huge view counts, and I'm comfortable that way. I am enjoying myself. I do get engagement, and I love chatting with people. You've been doing other stuff, had the tab muted. Oh, that's okay, no worries. So I'm just used to the smaller view numbers, and I can read the chat kind of, you know, there's not suddenly messages zipping by and I miss things. So it was a total adjustment for me, which was super exciting. But I'm worried that I just wasn't ready. So I wasn't like, you know, hey everyone, you know, here's the best that my stream can offer. I was just I was caught unaware. But that's okay. I had a great time. I'm really thankful that raid was there. So it was pretty fun, and got a few follows yet. That was really, it was great. You know, overall, all in all, a good set of things so far. A good event. All right, let's Main as SVG, transforms as TF, path. Yeah, let's just try that. What are you working on, Jaden? It can be hard to react to that kind of thing, but TJ is great. Yeah, you know, the funny thing is now I'm going to have to, when I'm not streaming, I'm going to have to pop in and check TJ's stream out too. Seems like a good place to be. Oh, Aviator. I'm going to try make a program somewhat similar to Google Docs or Microsoft Word, specifically made for linguistics. When you say linguistics, Aviator, do you mean like... what's the right way to say it? Like I know in linguistics you can do like lambda calculus with speech and stuff like that. Do you mean for like the analysis side of linguistics? Am I even making sense with that question? But yeah, Jaden, that definitely it was so shocking but so fun. I'm gonna check out TJ's stream for. Is TJ correct? TJ DV or something like that? I'll check their stream out. That's the moral of that story. All right, so here I am trying to make. Let's load file source / SVG-CLJ / at the moment, you're not working on anything. Today's your day off of code, but in general, Python, AI, robotics, Arduino stuff. Oh man, that sounds amazing. I dabbled with Arduino stuff a while ago now. It's been a bit, but it's always something I've been itching to get back to, and like really learning hardware, you know? Hardware, like electronics, for like the mechatronics, hacking robots together kind of thing. I've been wanting to get into that a lot. I keep wanting to do so many things, and then I have to be careful I can't splinter my time too much, you know? That's the thing. But that sounds sweet. Okay, let's load this source file. Aviator, constructed languages, a language made by someone either for a fantasy world or just for fun. For example, Dothraki and Klingon. Wow, okay, I see. So I feel like that would be extremely useful for D&D campaigns, right? Or where someone wants to like thoroughly craft the world. And I mean, D&D has a lot of languages already, although you usually just speak common or whatever, right? But that sounds fascinating. That sounds like a really cool tool. The name of the file I want to load is transforms. Yes, no such namespace string. I've just made a mess of all of my code, but that's okay. I can fix it. Okay. str, thank you. There we go. Yeah, so when you're constructing your own language, you would have to, I guess, communicate things like the grammar rules and that sort of thing, right? Is that would be part of the I'm guessing that would be part of it. I have no idea how to start how I would make a like a spoken language. That's a whole new world. Very cool. Okay. So now tf/translate to, okay, here we go. So let's make def a as repeat 10 svg/rectangle 1020. How about that? A is a list of rectangles. Very, very simple. Mine is Analog synth making with Arduinos. I'm a musician, so I've wanted to design this for a long time. Harder than it sounds. Been prototyping and theory crafting for about 3 or 4 months. Yeah, Jaden, that is such a cool idea. Oh my goodness. I love that idea. So I would imagine, to drastically oversimplify, not to say you're, I appreciate the challenge of these things, but essentially you have an Arduino, you've got your GPIO pins, you come up with some set of cool interfaces into it, either analog or digital or both. So analog triggers or digital single switches. Then you put it in the Arduino, and then you turn the Arduino USB into, you could serial connect it to some computer, and then you could MIDI, you could make a MIDI signal from that, and then you could, if you've got the MIDI signal thing, you could put all kinds of different controls through the GPIO pins. I mean, it sounds so simple, but I'm sure the actual implementation of all that stuff would be different. And or maybe there's different ways of doing it. I don't know. Maybe you're not going through a computer, maybe you're playing it out through something directly. So many possibilities. That's so cool. Keep up the theory crafting, right? That sounds like a lot of fun. An Aviator, yeah, the program itself would be just like Google Docs, but adds several features such as a multi-file system. It allows you to switch over several files without exiting the program. So one file for grammar, one file for the dictionary, one file for the sounds. Oh yeah, and creating a language is pretty difficult. There's a large community dedicated to helping people create their own. My idea of this Konglang writing service came from an older program called LangPad. Stopped being updated almost a year ago. Thought, why not continue it? Almost 100,000 people in the subreddit. Sure, a lot of them are looking for an up-to-date service. Yeah, that sounds like a ready and willing audience. Sounds like a good opportunity there for sure. I'll tell you, that wouldn't be a project I would take on right now. I focus on smaller projects with computer-aided design and 3D modeling and stuff like that. I don't focus on a live server app where people are logging in. I think the stuff I do is much more install and use, and then individuals are using it kind of thing. Does that make sense? I haven't turned my head towards learning the intricacies of doing a app as a service yet. It's on the list eventually, but it's not there yet. So good on ya. I'm sure it's gonna be a fun one too. Okay. Right, so I've got this list. All I'm trying to do here is run a translate operation on it. So if I translate by 55A, I get this super weird nested structure, which I don't want. But if I do translate 2, I'm curious to see what happens here. It doesn't work because I have to do tf/translate2, of course. Right, okay. Yes. Jaden, kind of the MIDI stuff. Yeah, you want to put it through a chip of its own, so like a regular stage piano, but as an analog synth. The idea would be to get a bunch of sounds into one area without copious amounts of gear, even though the backline would have all the modules as well as banks stored and newly created sounds saved. Probably sounds super complicated. A little bit. I'm trying to draw the image in my mind. It's not quite coming to me. But so let's see here. The idea is to get a bunch of sounds into one area without copious amounts of gear. Even though the backline would have all the modules as well as banks stored and newly created sounds saved. Is this for stage performances? Like, so the idea is you bring your, like, your keyboards and maybe your guitars and stuff like that. You have little programming. The backline is the stuff stored. Oh, okay, okay. So you want kind of a compact, complete system that you could interface all of your other instruments with. Yeah, for stage stuff. Instead of carrying an entire studio's worth of equipment with you, you've got the Arduino with a little extra chip and whatnot, kind of with everything you need in it. Roughly speaking, I don't think I completely get you, but that sounds like a worthy goal. And yeah, you have only a little programming knowledge. C#, I feel like that's going to be a good place to start. Arduino, I believe, is C, right? It uses C, or does it use C++? I don't remember. So this didn't work. What if I do tf translate 2 5 on just one element of A? That works, but it returns a list. Okay. Right. So I always forget that that's what has to happen. So here I have to transform, zip, translate. Oops. Save that. Let's load the file again. Okay, that worked. And that didn't. Right. Okay. Yeah, so I do have to complicate it a little bit. C++. Right, so Arduino uses C++, yeah. I mean, they're not the same language, but they're kind of in the... I feel like you have some good transferable knowledge there. That's a nice place to start. I will be right back. I'm going to go to the washroom. I drink too much water, so I have to go to the bathroom regularly, but you know what? That's just how it goes. I'll be right back. Aviator, seeing as how you're using... Oh, Jaden and Aviator, I might have mixed up your messages briefly there. Sorry about that. C++, Aviator. All right, sorry, I'm just trying to reconnect here. Seeing as you're using Mac OS, how hard would it be to create compatibility for Mac users? I mean, I'm sure it depends on exactly what you're trying to achieve and what kind of frameworks you're willing to use. Compatibility, the answers are always, it's never zero effort, but depending on the choices you make, it might not be too difficult. That's a bit of a cop-out answer, but it's like, oh, Jaden, you've also worked with C#. Nice. What do I mean? So one reason web apps are kind of popular in general is you can, in theory, write your code base once and just have it run anywhere that has a browser. But then you get weird compatibility things with Safari on Mac being a little different than Safari on mobile. Then you still have to make sure it works on Android web browsers and stuff like that. So even if you're doing a web app, you get weird inconsistencies with the web browser stuff, so that can be a challenge. When it comes to native applications, I'm not sure, but probably if you're using C# or C++, there are tutorials and stuff that can actually get you a long way into like cross-platform building. You could, in theory, architect your back end such that you don't have to actually rewrite it. You can just make sure it'll compile for every target. Then all you have to do is create a UI with native libraries for each platform you want to do. So you can kind of try and split it up that way. So point is, it could be fairly easy. It could be pretty complicated. It's kind of up to you and your architecture. But that's the best answer I can give you. If that's helpful, I'm not sure. Other people might actually know more about that than I do. The stuff I end up working on is like, you write stuff in a command line a lot of the time. So command line interfaces are kind of pretty portable. Maybe I can pay someone to do it for you. Actually, so in all seriousness, that's a pretty... I mean, so app development and game development aren't the same, but game developers will often make a game, release it on, say, PC or something like that, and at some tipping point of success, or they have enough money or whatever, they consider, instead of doing all the porting the code themselves, they can hire other developers and other studios to do the port work, right? So you could similarly apply that logic. Jaden, as with any project, I've got a long-term goal and a short-term goal. The short one is to get the synth up and running, 49 keys and a bunch of banks with presets, and the availability for edit mode. Long term is to get multiple, like a drum machine, a sequencer, and a sampler. Oh man. I think that's a smart way to do it. A short-term and long-term goals like that. And the nice thing is, it seems like, so long-term is to get multiple, like you say. So if you're, it's like you could milestone it nice and easily, right? So boom, milestone 1, synth up and running, 49 keys. Milestone 2, drum machine. Milestone 3, sequencer. And like you can kind of, each big milestone is a new piece of functionality, making what you're working on more useful every time. And but each single step along the way is like achievable, right? Sounds like a smart approach. Thinking of naming the application Glossa, which is Greek for language. I mean, that's a great name. Don't stress too much about names until you've got a working thing, right? You know, Gloss is a cool name though. It like, I only mean like coming up with the name is not as important as coming up with the working thing, right? And I mean, you may as well go with Glossa. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right. I don't know. It's a cool project too, for sure. All right. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of running out of running out of steam here. I've been just cycling through my code here, not really doing much, trying to think through how I want to achieve it, you know? Unfortunately, that doesn't make for a lot of visual progress. All of the parts of your code, Jaden, they won't hinder each other, they won't affect any other project. Yeah, that's really nice. When you have like really clear isolated chunks to work on, it's super helpful. It's so much more, it feels satisfying every step of the way, right? Since I'm not doing anything critically important right now, I want to see if I can pull out a little thing that that I was reminded of. See if I can get this thing working. Yeah, so I started the stream off with a good plan to do some work on my SVG library. I know the kinds of things I need to do, but I'm running out of focus energy to actually start doing them on stream, and I don't want the stream to be too boring for the last little bit that I'm going on. So I'm letting myself kind of speak openly and try and show different things here and there. I hope everyone's okay with that. That's just how I'm rolling today, you know? Just taking it easy now. All right, let's see here. So the reason I'm showing, I have this little project called Humbug. It is a clone of another YouTuber's project that they've done a while ago, but it's fun. It's fun. I was able to kind of port it to Clojure. They did it in Haskell, but Jaden's project reminded me of this thing that I did, and I want to see if it still works, and I want to see what people think of it, because it would be a fun video to make. It's all good. Fun with whatever you want to do. Oh, thank you. Some days, this kind of stuff, like these animations and this SVG stuff, sometimes I will do that on stream. Other times I do 3D modeling on stream. Yeah, so if that stuff is appealing, that has some nice visual appeal to it as it's happening, which I think is pretty neat. While I'm also just talking about other stuff I do, were you guys in the chat when I put my YouTube channel link in there? I'm not sure, and I don't want to be overly zealous with it, so I don't need to, if you both saw it or if everyone saw it, I don't need to redo it, but if you're interested, I can post the link again. Fine with whatever. Yeah, I guess it is my stream, right? All right, YouTube. No pressure, but if anyone is newly tuned in and they might be interested in some of the other stuff I do, I have a YouTube channel and I'm working on doing more Clojure and building and design kind of videos on there. And I really like making videos, so that's another fun thing I do. And the bot will take care of posting that. And let's see here if I can load file source humbug main.clj. must have implemented a function that doesn't need implementing, but okay. So let's try random song. Jaden scrolled up. Yeah, I guess that's always possible. You can always scroll up through the chat. There it is again. Adam James -TV, my YouTube channel. Aviator Lou, not exactly sure how you'd start your project. Well, I'll be I'm not sure how much experience you have with developing in general, but so if you're fairly new to it, I would just temper your expectations a little bit when it comes to suppose if I got here later. Oh yeah, that's true. Hey, Rumble Tum Chum, thanks for the follow. I'm chuckling because I love that name. It's fantastic. Thanks for the follow. Yeah, Aviator, if you're fairly new, just be aware that an app where it's like Google Docs where you can collaborate live in real time is a little bit challenging to work on. Like there's going to be some potential things that are harder to implement. So keep that in mind. But where would you start otherwise? If you're familiar already with the tools you're going to use, then make a design doc maybe. Write down and scope your project. So like to get to a stable alpha or beta release, I'm going to do feature 1, feature 2, and feature 3. That's it. Then I'm going to publish it and test it privately with a few people, or I'm going to test it publicly at that subreddit or whatever and get feedback. That might be a good place to start in terms of the design side of things. So you're not building a huge thing without feedback. You're building a tiny little thing and seeing what happens as you go. That might be helpful. I'm not sure. It can be challenging for sure. I'm trying to remember how I did this. WF is waveform, so I need... Oops. So this is if you haven't gathered, this plays a little song, but I'm trying to remember how to actually launch a song. So let's see here. I should have done I should have written some documentation for this thing. Silly me. WF waveform, I guess, is what it's supposed to be. And I'm trying to think. Let's do random song. Let's just try something, see what happens. Well, let's use the wave builder. Oh, I see. I think it's like this. Close. Kind of. Then IO. Ah, okay, yes. So here, right, so I'm gonna I completely don't remember how I did this. Okay, well, I want to get this working, so I'm going to try get this working. Let's see here. Let's see. So this is the video that inspired this project. I'm trying to use it to go back and figure out what inputs I need, you know? So they, Tsoding uses Haskell here and has a, so sample rate is 48,000. I was quite sure I had, oh, maybe we're fine. Maybe we're okay. What I have to do is output a file with certain well, this is just me being a little silly. Sorry about that. Aviator, yeah, I guess the program itself, the best place to start would be creating a spot where you can input text. Yeah, I mean, it's never bad to have some kind of input field. Start with the simple stuff, right? That gets you somewhere where you need to get, and then build from there. Okay. This is not what I wanted. It's not what I meant. Let's do do I have a gist of this as well? Let's see. Well, there's source code here. Dev humbug list. Okay, output.bin. So let's try. Well, let's run this. ffplay show mode 1 f32le. So float 32 little endian. AR sample rate 48 1 2 3. Yeah. Audio rate or whatever, and then the file name is output.bin. What I'm not sure of is if this will work. Let's see. I can't hear that. I hope it's not blasting. I hope that's let me know if that's like horrible noise or if that's like actually playing music properly. Let's see here. It's not blasting. Was it playing notes though? Like clean sine notes? Shoot, I forgot that I turned off. I forgot that I turned off. Yeah, it is notes. Okay. Shoot, I totally forgot that I won't get the audio from there. At least not the way I wanted. Oop. One moment. Clean random notes. Perfect. Okay, so we're kind of in the ballpark of what I actually wanted to do here. I just am trying to remind myself how to actually execute a song. And I have to actually do that. Let me take the notes here. This will be a good place to end after I've gotten a little bit, some examples. After I've done a little bit here. And I'm going to try see if I can hear the sound output as well. I just need to... Ba 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 da ba ba. Okay, I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to just try this one more time. Right, well, that's not working. I mean, it's playing audio, but it's not playing through the system correctly, so I won't worry about that. Let's do... Okay. Right, so let's try play. Sample rate is 48,000. Oh yeah, at Aviator, hopefully you're still here to see Jaden's suggestion there. Could be really helpful. Good place to start. 48, 1, 2, 3, yeah. F name, we're just gonna call it output.bin. And then the wave itself is going to be the result of song, but it's going to be random song like this. N being, let's take 20 notes from the wave form, wave function, sine wave. Okay, I think that'll work. Is that playing notes again? Was it playing notes again? It's a short thing because it's only like 20 notes. A perspective of different resolutions would be super... It worked. Okay, cool. All right, that's perfect. All right, so my super elegant random song is just taking random notes from the major pentatonic scale with a random set of durations from either... It's either eighth of a second. Oh no, sorry. These are the like note durations. So like a whole note, half note, quarter note, or eighth note. And I have a distribution of notes. So the most common note duration is quarter, and the least common are whole note and eighth note. And it's just pentatonic because it kind of can't sound bad. So this is the very rough framework for actually starting to be able to generate some sounds automatically that can kind of sound like music. It's not music, right? It's just sort of notes. But the next thing I want to build into this is how to make it play chords, how to add different wave sounds, waveform sounds, that sort of thing. Let's bump this up to 80 and just try it one more time. And to be totally clear, credit has to go to Soding here for the original idea, and I was just doing a port. So all of the Clojure code is mine. Could probably change the key of the pentatonic as well. Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. It's another knob to work with. Pretty sweet actually though. So yeah, I cannot take credit for the original idea. I can take credit for porting it to Clojure and adding the random song generation. So this is going to be one of my videos that I make next. Let me just make sure that I actually have I have to add this here. I thought I had it. Let me do this. Copy credit for original idea and implementation written in Haskell goes to Soding, and a video of the process, which is where I first saw this awesome idea. I ported or cloned idea into Clojure code and will indicate any elements that are expanded from the original ideas by Soding. There we go. Different scales, Phrygian scale, Lydian scale, jazz scales, and stuff like that. Yeah, there's all kinds. Like this here, it was literally is like, I know that if you have nothing but a major pentatonic and you literally just start slapping a keyboard, it sounds okay. So I'll start with that. It's the simplest thing I could have reached for. And then this one, Iwado, just sounded kind of neat as well. And I was like experimenting, like, okay, it's actually not too hard to define different types with the basic note distribution, and then just kind of build it out from there. So there's a lot of music theory that I could still start to implement, right? It's pretty exciting. So probably this is going to come up in a video of mine at some point soon. But let me finish crediting the right people. I don't want to steal ideas. It's not cool, you know? It's never a good idea. Don't pass off ideas as your own. There we go. That is the Haskell music source code. Yes. Perfect, perfect. All right. Let me just do this one as well. Output.bin, and we'll do this one. Is not a random song, but I have Rude, which this also is from Soding's code. This one is, I didn't write this. I mean, neither did he, but and I think that should work. Yeah, the program's limitations would be your knowledge of theory. Yeah, and is that Darude Sandstorm playing? I think it should be. Approximately. Yeah, so theory would be the limitation, as well as, I mean, arguably, yeah, it is. Perfect. What a great... Fantastic. I love that. Other limitations of the program would be kind of related to, so let's take a drum a drum machine, for example. I suppose you could generate drum sounds purely from waves, but as far as I know, most drum machines have like recordings of drums that they play the noise back when you hit the things. Maybe I'm wrong about that, I don't know. But you might know theory, but still have, it might still be quite difficult to build the proper waves that make the right crunchiness and whatnot. Yeah, samples, yeah. So there's no sampling built into this yet. I mean, you could build something that can read in wave files, right? And then you can kind of sample whatever at that point. But this is a really small scope project, more of a toy than anything, right? But yeah, so you could do quite a bit of it, but even with it as it is, if you know a little bit of theory, you can build out from there. So the next thing I'm going to do is try to make chords. That should be fun, and then probably that's pretty cool to make a video out of. Sandstorm. There we go. Okay, so that is going to be it for me. I need to get some food, go out and exercise, and then work on some of my code off stream so that I can get a little bit of work done yet. Yeah, and then just limit the actual samples, and you have like rates and durations of samples. Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I am going to call it a day for this stream. I want to say a big thank you to everyone new who's tuned in. I hope you enjoyed. I was a little thrown off at the huge view count numbers near the start of the stream, but I'm extremely thankful. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Maybe consider sticking around. I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday most weeks, and lately I've been really keen on doing 2D and 3D modeling with Clojure. As I get smarter over time, better and better at programming, better at streaming, all of that sort of stuff, I want to start using my engineering background in a way that could be entertaining and interesting. And hey, maybe stick around and just join in and chat, you know, because it's not always about being super cutting edge. Sometimes it's just about having a good time talking about programs and stuff like that. So anyone new, I hope you'll stick around. I really would love to see you. I will be back tomorrow. Yeah, Jaden, I enjoyed it as well. It was awesome. Enjoyed talking programming and music, etc. Yeah, me too. I appreciate the engagement in chat. And I've got nothing more to say. If you haven't followed, consider following. If you haven't looked at the YouTube channel, consider looking at that as well. And maybe you can be part of growing the community a little bit, you know? That'd be fun. That'd be great. I'd love to have you around. All right. I've talked enough. I'm going to get going. Have a good one. I'll be back tomorrow. Goodbye. Peace.